Hello students, welcome you all to Augmenting Concepts. Today, continuing with our botany section, we are going to discuss plant kingdom, its classification and methods of reproduction they use. I have observed that it's a point of confusion for the students that how the plants are classified. What are the differences? Plus, they also get confused when we talk about the reproduction methods of different plant classifications. So, today it will be very much clear to you that how the classification is done, what are the differences, and how the plants reproduce. Starting from the plant kingdom, as you can see on the screen, plant kingdom is firstly divided into two parts: undifferentiated plant body and differentiated plant body. Undifferentiated plant body, in this category those plants are kept which do not have differentiated parts in them. Means you can't differentiate where the leaves are, where the stem is, and where the roots are. These are called thallophyta. In differentiated plant body, you can differentiate that where is the leaf, stem, roots, etc. Now again, differentiated plant body are again divided into two categories. First is no vascular tissue, with the plants which are not having any vascular tissue, and with vascular tissues means plants which are having vascular tissues in them. Vascular tissue means xylem and phloem. If you have seen my previous video, it will be very clear to you that what is xylem and phloem. Now, the plants which are not having vascular tissues but their body have differentiated parts, these plants are kept in Bryophyta group. Moving forward, the plants which are having vascular tissues in them are again kept in two categories, two different categories. The first one is the plants which do not produce seeds. Second one is plants which produce seeds. Means the plants which have differentiated body plus they are having vascular tissues in them and they are not producing seeds. This type of category is kept under Pteridophyta. Then the producing seed producing plants, the differentiated body parts are there in plants, vascular tissues are there in the plant, and also they produce seeds. This type of plants which produce seeds are again divided into two: plants which bear naked seeds, plants which bear seeds inside the fruits. Means seed producing plants can have open seeds and can have seeds enclosed within the fruit. Fine. So plants which have open seeds are kept under Gymnosperm group. Plants which are having seeds enclosed inside the fruit are kept in Angiosperm group. This much is clear. Again, plants which have enclosed seeds inside the fruits, which are called angiosperms, are again divided into two categories, that is dicot and monocot. The dicot is having two cotyledons. Chickpeas is the example. If you split it, it will be splitted into two parts. Means it is having two cotyledons. Monocots are having one cotyledon. If you take one maize seed, it will be monocotyledonous. So it is the classification, and this is the difference they are having. So now it is, I think, very much clear that how the plants are classified. Moving forward, we will be taking the reproduction system of each group. So, the first group is reproduction in Thallophyta. You all know that thallophytes don't have any differentiated body. This is thallophytic plant which is called Ulothrix. Ulothrix looks like this algae. Fine, it is an algae. This is Chlamydomonas and this is Spirogyra. How this is looking, they are having only thallus type of body and there is no any other body part. How do they reproduce? They reproduce in three ways: vegetatively, they reproduce asexually, and they reproduce sexually. Now, vegetatively, they reproduce when budding occurs, fission and fragmentation occurs. Now, what is budding, what is fission and what is fragmentation? You will be observing in the next slide. Asexual reproduction occurs through non-motile spores or gametes. Non-motile spore gametes. Then sexual reproduction occurs through fusion of non-motile gametes to form a zygote. Now, how all these things happen? We are describing in the next slide. Budding, a small bud-like structure, because of cell division, outgrows called bud from a particular site and a new organism develops. Now students, as we are studying reproduction means the plant is producing the same of its kind, or it is reproducing another plant. So this is budding. Now what is happening? A small bud-like structure means, suppose the plant body is there, from any part of the plant there will be an outgrowth, small outgrowth will be there. That outgrowth will be growing, will be dividing itself, cell division will be occurring in that outgrowth, and because of the cell division this outgrowth will grow and finally it will take a shape of a bud, and when the development will be completed, the bud will be detached from the plant body and it will be making a new plant. So this is reproduction, and how it is done? Through budding. So like this, with the help of budding, reproduction is completed vegetatively. Second is fission. In fission, the parent organism divides into two to produce two genetically identical daughter organisms. Means, suppose there is a plant cell of a plant body, it will be divided into two. The whole things will be divided, the nucellus, everything will be divided, and two identically same organisms will be developed. Finally comes fragmentation. What do you mean by fragmentation? Fragment means piece. So in fragmentation, what must be happening? In fragmentation, an organism splits into fragments or pieces. Means the organism will be broken into two parts and each part will develop into new organism. Each fragment develops into an organism or full grown individual organisms. Now, if you don't see them, how will you understand? So in the next slide, we are going to discuss how do budding, fission and fragments look. Now, suppose this is a plant body. It will be dividing the internal organelles like this, and an outgrowth will come. This in the second thing, you can see that whole thing is divided into two, and bud is more prominent. And in the third one, there is a septa, or there is an demarcating line between the bud and the body, and finally it will be detached and grow into a new plant. So this is how budding happens. Second is, this is fragmentation. This is the plant body. This is the septa from where it is going to be broken into two pieces. Finally it gets broken in one piece, and this is the second one, this is the second, and this is the first one. and with the help of septa it is broken. This will develop in a new plant and this will develop in another plant. So like this, with the help of fragmentation, vegetative reproduction takes place. Finally, there is fission. What is happening? There is a parent cell, internal organelles are itself dividing into two, then there is an demarcation between the cell only like this, and finally two daughter cells are produced. So this is how vegetative reproduction in thallophytes happen. Moving forward, asexual reproduction with the help of non-motile spores. Non-motile means which cannot move, motile means which can move. Fine. Spores. These are produced and released by the special fruit body as mushroom. Each spore grow into a new individual organisms. See what happens. Suppose a fruit is ripe or it is completely developed. After that, like mushrooms, fine. What happens? The fruit is opened up from upper side and some powder like powder sort of substance is released, and this substance is granular. The granular substance is containing granules in it. These granules are spores. Now when it is released, it is dispersed with the help of air or water. After dispersal, each spore is grown into a new plant. So what is happening finally? Reproduction with the help of non-motile spores is happening. Now finally, non-motile gametes, it's a kind of sexual reproduction. In this fusion of gametes occur. You all know when we talk about sexual reproduction, the fusion of gametes occur. There are three types of fusion are there. Anisogamous fusion, isogamous fusion and oogamous type of fusion. Now, anisogamous fusion is when dissimilar sized gametes fuse with each other. Means one gamete will be bigger and the second gamete will be smaller in size. So that is called anisogamous fusion. Then comes isogamy. When similar sized gametes fuse, means when both of the gametes will be of similar size, it will be called isogamous fusion. Finally, oogamy occurs when big sized non-motile female gametes fuse with the small size motile male gametes. Means the female gamete will be bigger, there will be no movement in it, means it will be non-motile. Fine. And the male gamete will be smaller in size and it will be motile. It can be moved. That type of reproduction is called oogamous reproduction. Now we will see visually that how they look. So this is the diagram in which isogamous type of reproduction is happening. How? When both the gametes are of similar size, and these are the flagella. These are the flagella, these thread-like structures. What do they do? With the help of air or water, these flagellas move, and with the help, when the movement of flagella happens, the spores or gametes are going to travel from one place to another. So both of the gametes are motile and they are of same size. This sort of reproduction is called isogamous. In the second type or anisogamous reproduction, you can see female gamete is bigger but having flagellas, that means it is motile. This is male gamete which is smaller and having flagellas, that means it is also motile. But the sizes are different. So it comes under the category of anisogamous reproduction. Third kind is oogamous. Egg is bigger, sperm is smaller. Egg is having no flagella, that means it is non-motile, and sperm is having flagella, that means it is motile. So this is clear now that how it happens. Now moving forward, we will see the second category of plant kingdom, that is Bryophyta. Now these are the pictures of Bryophyta. This is the moss. This is liverwort. This is hornwort and this is liverwort. Fine. These are all the species of bryophytic plants. Now how the reproduction happens in this? First of all, we will take a short intro and then we will start. Now in vegetative, as we can see, the bryophyta are very compact. That's true. You can see in the picture that how compactly they are placed. No, there is no space in it also, in this also, and this also. How closely the densely and compactly the leaves are arranged. Fine. So vegetative reproduction can occur in bryophytes by growing stems and branches. Fine. Vegetative reproduction in bryophytes means growth of new branches and new stems. The older parts die, creating separate plants. Fine. Means the older stems will be dying and new branches or stems will be grown, and the new growth is the new plant. So this is how the vegetative reproduction takes place. Moving forward, this is sexual reproduction in bryophytes. In that, this is picture you can recall. In the previous slide, we have seen that this is hornwort plant. Fine. The hornwort plant is having male gametophyte and female gametophyte. Fine. And male gametophyte has antheridium. Female gametophyte has archegonium. Antheridium contains sperms. Archegonium is full of eggs. Now, gametophyte produce gametes. Antheridium. Now, we are talking about this antheridium. It is stalked, club-shaped structure. Produce sperms called anthrozoids. Now, you can see in the diagram on the screen that this antheridium has a long stalk attached with it. Now, from the upper side it is like a club and it produces sperms in the sperm sacs. Fine. And in the sperms, the sperms are also called anthrozoids because they are produced in antheridium. Anthrozoids. Fine. The second structure is archegonium. It is flask shaped structure, produces eggs. Now this is archegonium. You can see how the structure is. It is just like a flask. Fine. And archegonium produces eggs in the sacs. Now with the help of water, one thing more, that bryophytes are dependent upon the water for fertilization or for reproduction. So with the help of water, sperms in the antheridium reach to the eggs present in the archegonium. Fine. Means water will, with the help of water, these sperms will travel to archegonium. Fine. There it will be fertilizing the archegonial egg and new bryophyte will be developed as a result. So it's very simple. You have seen the diagrams and you have seen how it happens. Now moving forward comes Pteridophyta category. Pteridophytes have a very interesting fact that they come under the category of cryptogames. Now cryptogames means reproduction is hidden. You can see how they are. Pteridophytes have gametophyte stage, means gametophytes are developed. These produce spores instead of seeds. These plants do not produce seeds but they produce spores. This is how, with the help of the spores, new generation comes or new plants are developed. Fine. This is Pteridophyta. Now moving forward, we will study reproduction in gymnosperms. Now we have already seen in the chart, or you can go back into the video and you can see that how gymnosperm are categorized. They are categorized in with the plants which produce open seeds or naked seeds. Fine. So here two pictures are there. In fact, three pictures are there. First is fir tree picture. This is the fir tree, looks like this, and it produces cones like this. Fine. Now this is pine tree, looks like this and it bears cones like this. And this is cycas and it reproduces like this. Fine. Gymnosperm reproduce means gymnosperm plants can reproduce in two ways. They can reproduce vegetatively and they can reproduce sexually also. Now, vegetative reproduction takes place by the formation of bulbils or adventitious buds which develop on leaf axils of younger stems. Suppose the stem is younger, the bulbil or adventitious bud will grow and it will finally grow into a new gymnosperm plant. Fine. This is how the gymnosperm reproduce vegetatively. Is it clear with you? Now, before moving to the sexual reproduction of gymnosperm, I want to give you a small introduction about the plants. This is, I have told you that the gymnosperms bear cone. Fine. Is it true? Yes, I have told you that gymnosperm, they bear cone. Now, cones are male cones and female cones. Both sort of cones are there. Fine. They can present of same tree. They can present of on different trees also. These male cones will contain male spores or male gametes and female cone will contain female gametes. Finally, they will be fusing with each other and new gymnosperms will be produced. So, this is a small intro about the reproduction in gymnosperms. In the next slide, we will see the structure of the cones and structure of ovules and how they reproduce. So, moving forward, this is the diagram in which we can see a female pine cone and this is a male pine cone. Fine. Now, how do they look like this? In the previous slide, we have seen the cones are looking something differently. No. Here what we have done, we have taken a longitudinal section of the cone. So, it will look like this. And the male cone will look like this. Now, in the female cone, and what is the structure? There is a central axis. You can see the central axis. And on this central axis, the leaves are attached. Fine. These structures you can see attached with it. These are the leaves. And these specialized leaves are called microsporophylls. Fine. It is female pine cone, so there will be megasporophylls. Now, in the male cone, you can see central axis. In it also, leaves are attached, which are called microsporophylls. Fine. This is clear to you. And megaspores are having ovule and microspores are having pollen. This is fine. So, let's see. Gymnosperm produce cones which are also called strobilus. Now, the second name of cone is strobilus. These are the reproductive structures of gymnosperm. In the introduction also, I have told you that the gymnosperm produce cone and these are only the reproductive structures of the gymnosperm plants. Both male and female strobili, strobili is the plural of strobilus. Both male and female strobili can present on same tree or they can be present on different trees. Now, when they are present on same tree, in the pine trees we can see both of the male and female cones are present on the same tree. And on cycas tree we can see that both the cones are present in different trees. Fine. Now, gymnosperms are heterosporous. What is the meaning of heterosporous? Means different spores. Means two different male and female spores are produced by the gymnosperm plants. Haploid stage. When a cell has half the usual number of chromosomes, it is called haploid stage. Microspores and megaspores are generated. Fine. This much is clear to you. Now, one by one we will taking the structures of cone. Moving forward, this is the male cone I have already told you the leaves are microsporophyll, and on the basal surface pollen sacs are there, and inside the pollen sacs microspores are there. Now microstrobili, what is it? Cone, the second name of cone is strobilus, and microstrobilus means male cone. Microstrobilus contains leaves called microsporophylls. This is we all know. At the base of microsporophylls, pollen sacs are situated called microsporangia. And where are they? On the central axis of the cone, all microsporophylls are attached. So this is the structure and diagram before you of the male cone. Moving forward, this is the female cone. Now you can see this is the central axis, megasporophyll are there. If we pluck one leaf or if we pluck one megasporophyll, it will look like this. The structure is the leaf is modified and at the end it is folded. Fine. And inside the fold the ovule is situated. And when it all goes to the base position, one micropyle is also present. So we see megastrobili, female cone or megastrobili, contains megasporophyll, which is a modified leaf. Fine, modified leaf. How it is modified? Because it is containing an ovule in the fold. The megasporophyll is folded and encloses megasporangia. Megasporangia is ovule. Means the another name for ovule is megasporangia. Megasporophyll are attached on central axis of the cone. Now fine, you have seen how the female cone structure is constituted and how the male cone is constituted. After this we will talk about the ovule in the next slide, how the structure of ovule is there and how it goes. So this is, students, on the screen you can see the structure of ovule. So what you can see, that there is a stalk and there is a round body. Fine. An ovule is consist of a stalk or funicle and the body. Now this stalk is called funicle or funiculus. Fine. The ovule structure consists of one stalk or funicle or funiculus and the body. Fine. On one side of the funicle it is attached to the placenta and on another side to the ovule body. Fine. The funicle is at one side is attached to the placenta, another side to the ovule body. Attachment of funicle to the body is called hilum. Means this is funicle, you can see, this is the ovular body, you can see. When they both attach with each other, the point is known as hilum. Funicle extends to the base of the ovule. Funicle extend to the ovule base. The ridge is formed like is called raphe. You can see in the diagram clearly that this funicle is growing. Fine. And this is extending. How much it is extending itself? To the base. Fine. To the base it is extending. Thus one ridge is forming. This ridge is forming and this is called raphe. Ovule body has two ends. You can see this is the ovular body, this is the base end and this is the open end. Fine. Two ends, the base end is called chaliza. You can see in the diagram, this is the chalizal area, this is the chaliza, and the upper end is called the micropyle. The upper end is called the micropyle. Now in the next slide we will talk about the integuments, embryo sac, micropyle. Fine. So in the diagram you see these two are integuments. This is nucellus. Nucellus are the parenchymatous cells. This is embryo sac, this is egg cell, and these two are synergids and third one is egg cell. The group of three cells are there, tetrad. Fine. and this open end is called micropyle. Open end is formed by the demarcating line of integuments. Moving forward, ovule is covered with two envelopes called integuments. Fine. If you want to see again, you can go back into the video and you can see the diagram how the integuments are placed. Free end of the integuments has an opening called micropyle. We have just seen how integuments are detached from each other, and thus an aperture is forming, or a tiny hole is forming, that is called micropyle. You can see in the diagram. Inside the integuments lies the parenchymatous tissue, which is known as nucellus. I have told you that nucellus is parenchymatous cells. You can see female gametophyte called embryo sac developed from the functional megaspore is situated in the center of the nucellus. Embryo sac you have seen. The embryo sac contains embryo. With its help, growth happens. Fine. Now the structure of ovule is very much clear to you. It is very simple. It is very clear also. These 9 things are present in an ovular structure. Now you students, you see ovule can be of many types depending upon the position. We will see in the next slide. Now here are the types of ovules. It can be these 6 types. How it is defined that the types of ovules can be 6 types? It is like the positioning. This is first orthotropous ovule. You can see the chalaza and micropylar position. This is sarcinotropous ovule. That funicle is curved like this, and the micropyle has taken one whole round and again pointed upwards. This is amphitropous ovule. This is anatropous, just opposite or just inverted of orthotropous. This is hemianatropous, taken an angle of this degree. This is camphilotropous. Fine. Now in the next slide we will be we will be seeing the definitions of all the 6 types. You can refer this diagram coming back into the video, and again you can go into the video back and see the structure of ovule. So 3 things you have to keep in mind. The structural diagram of the ovule means where are the different parts. Chalaza, micropyle, integuments, embryo sac are situated. Hilum, funicle, where are the situations of these parts. Secondly, you have to keep in mind this slide in which the different ovules are there, and in the third slide we will be getting the definitions like this. Now orthotropous ovule, the ovule is straight. The hilum, chalaza and micropyle lie in a straight line. Fine, you have seen. Sarcinotropous, the nucellus and the axis are in the same line. The ovule is curved till micropyle again points upwards. Fine, we have seen. Amphitropous, the ovule is curved very much and the embryo sac also becomes curved. Fine. Anatropous, the ovule becomes completely inverted and the micropyle lies very close to the hilum. Clear? Hemianatropous, the ovule is transversely at right angle to the funicle. You have seen. The micropyle and chalaza lie in one straight line. The final is camphilotropous. The ovule is curved round so that the micropyle and chalaza do not lie in the same straight line. Fine students, I have already told you, you have to refer the diagram, you have to refer the diagrams of ovular types, and you have to refer the definitions. Then only you will be very much clear about the things. Now moving forward comes sporogenesis. Fine. We have seen the male cone, we have seen the female cone, we have seen the ovule. Now it is time to see how the spores are developed. What are the divisions which are taking place in the sporangium in order to produce spores. Now sporogenesis occurs in sporangia. Where the sporogenesis occur? It occurs in the sporangia. Fine. Sporogenesis means production of spores. Where it happens? In the sporangia. Whether it is the megasporangia or whether it is the microsporangia. Sporogenesis is done by sporogenous cells or sporocytes or spore mother cells. Fine, definitely they will do it. It is an obvious thing. For cell division takes place to give rise to spores. Now, when something develops, definitely cell division happens. So, cell division takes place to give rise to the spores. A diploid spore mother cell in the sporangium undergoes meiosis division. Fine, comes the point. Now, meiosis produces a tetrad. We have seen in the diagram. This tetrad consists of haploid spores. Fine. In gymnosperms, two types of spores are formed. You all know microsporangia produces male microspores and megasporangia produces female megaspores. In microsporogenesis, all four microspores survive. In megasporangiogenesis, three of the four spores degenerate after meiosis. In gymnosperms like conifers, microspores are produced through meiosis from microsporocytes in microstrobili or main cone. So I think it is clear what is sporogenesis. Now moving forward, fertilization. Now the stage comes when we will study the fertilization, how it happens and how gymnosperm seeds are formed. Giving a short introduction about this, I can say that sperm cells or the male cells or the male spores have to reach to the female egg. Fine. The mode of reaching can be flagellar movement or can be what? Making a pollen tube. Fine. Finally, they both fuse and form a new sporophyte. Now coming to the first point, fertilization. What is it? When female gamete fuses with male gamete and female gamete form a zygote, it is called fertilization. So fertilization in gymnosperms initiates when pollen grains come into the contacts of ovule and germinate. Quite obvious, fertilization will be initiated only or will be started only when a pollen grain will come into the contact of female ovule and it will be germinated. Secondly, sperm cells make their way to the egg inside the ovule and fertilize the egg. Second point is also very obvious. Now the difference comes here in conifer plants. Sperm cells have no flagella, as I have discussed with you, and have to reach to the egg by forming what? Pollen tube. In cycas, the flagellated sperm swim towards the egg for the fertilization. Fine. So the difference comes here that pollen tube will be formed for fertilization or flagellar movement will be there. Finally, after fertilization, formed zygote develops inside the gymnosperm seed and later forms a new sporophyte. This is clear to you? Now moving forward, this is the diagram where you can see how it looks after fertilization and seed formation. So this is the first diagram in which unfertilized ovule is there. You can see megaspore is there, inside megasporangium, and outside the integuments are there. Fine. Now the male gametophyte within the pollen tube will come inside from the micropylar area. It will come inside and the fertilization will happen here, and egg nucellus is also there. Fine. Finally, what will happen? The seed will be formed. Okay, micropyle will be closed. The integuments will be changed into seed coat. Fine. Food supply will be there, and this is a new embryo or new sporophyte. So you can see this is unfertilized ovule, this is fertilized ovule, and finally it is gymnosperm seed. So I think it is very much clear. I am able to clarify your doubts about the classification of plant kingdom and how do the different plant categories used to reproduce with the various methods. I know angiosperms is not still covered, but I am making you very sure that in the next video I'll be telling you about the angiosperms, their structure, their reproductive organs, and how they reproduce through various methods. I'll be going to tell you about the vegetative reproduction, about the sexual reproduction of the angiosperms. If you have any doubt about the today's session, you can tell me in the comment section, or if you like the session you can also tell me. Thank you very much, students.